Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Good evening. Do
Sam.
you think you could maybe just do me an introduction on one podcast one day where you don't, you
Roll
don't
my
sort
eyes.
of...
What is
Just
you?
overcomplicate
Such a
it.
precious little petal, aren't you? Come on, Tom,
Easy.
get on with the podcast.
Sam Williams.
Greetings, Thomas. Pleasure to be here as always.
And a special guest, Harry Fitzpatrick, brother of aforementioned Bruce. Harry, welcome to the pod.
Gentlemen, good evening. Pleasure to be here.
What brings you to the jar, Harry?
What brings me to the jar? Well, I'm actually privileged to be on my second Cookie Jar tour. I think it was May 2021. I enjoyed my first tour with the jar, and I've clearly been better behaved this time because now I've actually been invited on a podcast, or rather offered a bit more banter this time around. But great fun today, gents.
Still the runner of Cookie Jar. The last time Harry came on tour, I forgot to a third hole on an out and back links, which was near, and I realised I left my battery to my camera in the car. So, Harry, you're the runner, mate. We've got you here. Why don't you jog back to the car? It was about a mile away.
I like to think that's where I earned my stripes. Really, that's where that's where this appearance really began.
There's nothing worse than doing a sort of 1.5 mile round jog back to the clubhouse or to the
We were playing
car
foursomes as
when
well.
it's -3 and you actually build up a sweat that then
He's
starts
playing
to actually freeze on your...
3 or 4
on
days
your-
worth of free golf without so much as picking up a camera. To be fair, I didn't feel remotely
He did want to get to know the
guilty
ropes,
for
though.
him. So
He
you know,
did want to get to know
you've
the
got to
ropes.
cut your teeth, haven't you? And you got to earn your stripes. Gentlemen, what are we here to discuss?
Yeah.
We are on tour. Only a little, I call it a micro tour. We're up in St Andrews. We've done the purpose of our visit is as a podcast that we've just recorded this morning, and we've got that out of the way and a little bit of playtime. And on the way up, we played Appleby, which has been released already. We did the tour, the Course Diaries of Appleby.
Maybe. Might release this before. Who knows?
Great.
We like to live on the edge here.
Great.
We like to fly in the face
Tom
of
seems
logic
to have
and
taken
reason.
over scheduling of podcasts now as well.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everything that I look after as chief exec of the jar seems to be diminishing.
Oh, here we go. We're opening up a can of worms here. But we like to schedule live on air.
And we, after our podcast that we recorded this morning, and we managed to get around at Golf House Club, otherwise known as Elie, which was something I didn't know a huge amount about, and I like to go into these things fairly with a fair amount of ignorance, but it was good.
Well, I've been very keen to see Elie for some time, and Bruce had sort of taken over a bit of the logistics planning for this weekend. So
I always like to take on the
So
heavy
what
logistics
was
burden
First
north
time for everything,
of
Bruce.
the border. No, hang
north
on.
of the border, it makes sense. You know, you're St Andrews resident essentially, aren't you? And you said, "Oh, where do we fancy playing on Saturday afternoon?" Saturday is obviously difficult, I think, typically to play, particularly in Scotland. Busy clubs, Members' Day. But I did say I'd really like to see Elie. To be fair, of all the courses up here,
No,
that I'm
this is now Sam's idea. I said I'd really like to
No,
play
I
Elie.
think I've had it on the record that I'm just saying I've always wanted to play Elie.
Second to Holland, Elie's been the
Yeah.
one that he's always wanted to play.
Yeah, Holland and Elie are very much bucket lists for me. So yeah, let me put you in charge of that, and yeah.
Came up trumps.
And actually, I think it's felt like a long time coming because we've really not had a sort of, I know it's a mini tour as you described there, Tom, but we've not had sort of tour golf or played golf as a three for quite some time, given the winter weather, me starting work down in London, Sam sort of frolicking off around various golf trips here and there, and it was just really nice to get back on tour, as it were.
Yeah, I mean,
with you guys.
The last time we were all together was, I suppose, our fitting, which we
Yes.
we had with a huge thank you to our friends over at TaylorMade, and we went down, I think earlier on in the year, like early January was, and we
It was
got
actually
together.
mid to late January, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we went down and Danny Morris, or Mickey as Rick Shields would call him, was fitting us down in Wentworth actually, and we got fit down there, and a few weeks later we got our clubs arrival. We've never really had the opportunity to test them
we
out.
haven't played. I mean, I think, to be fair, it would be easy for people to think, oh, well, three guys, they all play at Blackwell together. They must play several times a week together. The fact of the matter is, I can't remember the last time we played 18 holes of golf together. It doesn't happen that often. So, when we're on tour, typically is the time we do it. And it was just nice. I think we knew waking up this morning, doing, podcasts with Peter Dawson, and then going and playing at Elie, you just sometimes know, today could be quite an enjoyable day, and it's fair to say it absolutely delivered in every way, didn't it? So I don't know what order we want to talk about. I suggest we maybe talk about Elie, maybe, and some of the fun and games around that.
Yeah, well, keeping it light and breezy.
What's your itinerary, Bruce?
Yeah, well, I think to set the scene here.
Have you played Elie before?
I have. I played it a couple of times.
Have you played Elie before?
I have.
Okay, so it's just me and Sam that hadn't, and so obviously you guys knew what you were getting yourselves into, but we, all I knew about it was a periscope. Literally, that's all I knew about it.
So what are your expectations going in based on what I told you? Sam, I know you like to sort of read up on these things quite a bit before you go and play these courses. What were you expecting?
Man marking the social channels, you see a lot of pictures of golf courses. So, proximity to the sea was something that I was acutely aware of. Felt like there's some nice holes that are exposed to that. Knew that it ran alongside the town, so I knew there's the 19th hole, and there's this sort of legendary pub that people pop into after a couple of holes is what I knew. It transpires the third. The periscope on the first tee, and apart from that, just the fact that everyone I know that's been to Elie really rates Elie. I've never heard anyone say, yeah, not for me, or it was all right. Probably wouldn't rush back. I've never heard that. I've only ever heard glowing reports from Elie. So that's usually a pretty resounding mark for it, I think.
And the course itself is old. It's like the third oldest golf course in the world.
Yeah, the actual course. I mean, it's
the course itself.
Undergone a lot of evolution, but I think it dates to about the 16th century. The Golf House Club was established quite a bit later in sort of 1875, but that, we were lucky enough, shout out to Jamie, the general manager, who gave us a little tour around before we went out and played, and it's just steeped in history, and there's so much kind of brilliant memorabilia and like historical artifacts that they've kind of beautifully preserved, and it's a very, as great as the course is and as picturesque as the setting is. The Golf House Club itself is a fantastic golf club, I think, by all accounts. That was the impression I got from just spending a bit of time there today.
Lovely vibes.
Yeah.
When you go into a pro shop that has got no golf clubs on racks, it's minimalism in the pro shop, to say the very least. It had an outstanding sock collection, and that was about it, really. There really isn't loads of stuff to buy in the pro shop, but just a few bits. You're like,
what does a pro shop
this
need?
Place is pure. Well, it's just like doing the stuff, but doing it well.
Gloves,
you know what I mean?
It needs tees, it needs balls.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. It was just
wasn't over-service.
It's just the clubhouse and everything off the course to me it's just pure.
Okay, so I'm front and center of the
whole
pro
experience,
shop.
really. Yeah.
Front and center of the pro shop, you go in, they've got literally gloves, hats, balls, tees in a tiny room, and then this enormous periscope in the middle of the pro shop. And it's like, what on earth is going on? And I haven't at this point, even though you walk past it and I'm completely oblivious to everything in the world, I hadn't clocked that the first tee shot's blind. So you're like,
earth did you think the periscope was for then?
Well, this is it. So I hadn't really clocked where the first hole was. And you're like, and you get what is periscope for? And then you're seeing people tee off, and you're like, okay. And then the pro there is shouting out the door, right, you ready to tee off now? Like peeking them down the periscope, shouting to everyone, yeah, you can go now. It was very, very unique.
Reputation
very
of the
cool.
jar was obviously, the stock was high in 5 because you didn't seem to have too much difficulty getting us a tea time on a Saturday afternoon. I thought that's great. I think that stock crumbled quite quickly when Tom took over the Periscope, said, "Oh, you can see out of it as well." It was one of the most remarkable things I've ever heard said in a pro shop. But
They must have thought these cookie jar crew are a slightly strange bunch. I mean, Sam, I think, has walked into the pro shop before we've gone and had some lunch. I don't even know if he's managed to utter the words hello to the assistant before he's just made a beeline and picked up a pair of long socks and a pair of short socks.
I mean, it was extraordinary.
And
really.
two logo balls for his ball rack, just absolutely sort of dialed in.
I mean, it was within
on the
15
priorities.
seconds of crossing the threshold. He's already there, ready to pay. The poor bloke behind the desk is trying to, signal to the people on the tee that's actually ready to go. He's got one eye on the Periscope and one eye on Sam. He's like loading up logoed balls, match play socks. It was a sight to behold.
Yeah. And then Tom just completely oblivious to the sort of.
I don't think that I was supposed to just bowl in and grab his Periscope. I think that's just a.
Well, it's part of the experience at Elie. Yeah, I think definitely the first time you play.
I don't know whether I just commandeered it,
because it's iconic, and anyone who goes, and plays there, that is something that you just have to go and kind of just look through, and it's just a great feature, really. And there's a nice little sort of board to the side, just talking about the history of it. And I think they purchased it for like sort of £75 from the Navy or some decommissioned ship. Maybe I've got the history slightly askew there, but it's just a really cool way to start the round.
Also, shout out to the kitchen who delivered a phenomenal Coronation Chicken panini, which Coronation Chicken is something that just does not appear enough in golf clubs for me. And if it's on the menu, it gets purchased. It was very, very lovely.
It's a little superstition we have,
It's
isn't it? Whenever we're
yeah.
doing any
It's
any
usually a
filming
good
work.
day, yeah.
It's a good day if you got Coronation
First
Chicken.
time we ever did a filming job, we had Coronation Chicken, and subsequently, if we're together on tour and it's on the menu, you have to order it, don't you?
Yeah.
But the other person does. I couldn't turn down the bacon brie and cranberry. We digress, gentlemen. Let's talk about the golf.
Yes.
The course
Do
or
we
the
want
golf?
to? I mean, I'm just going to preface this with I was absolutely blown away by the golf course at Elie. How do we want to do it? Do we want to talk about the course? Do we want to talk about the match we've had? Do we want to think about what we were playing for? I don't know.
Okay, let's start with
freewheeling it.
we'll do this chronologically.
Yeah.
So we played a little match play. Me and Harold which is always me and Harold. Even the last tour was me and Harold versus Bruce and Sam in a better ball format. But at the same time, there's a video that'll be on social media very shortly to accompany this podcast, which was one of the boxes that TaylorMade sent us. Had a rather wonderful, probably 6-inch opening Seamus TaylorMade Stealth
Leather pencil bag. It's
single strap.
It's
pencil
beautiful.
bag.
Seamus, great maker of bags and accessories and stuff.
And the video,
the TaylorMade
will
stealth
show
bag
it,
they've
but-
made for the little PR boxes. Very lucky to get hands on that. I mean, that was.
Yeah, it's right up our alley of sort of the kind of traditional.
So we had to think about it, and I mean, I must admit, I'd love to say, I would take credit for this, but
I'd love to give it away, but I'd rather keep it.
No. I'd love to take credit for the idea, but actually, Graham at TaylorMade said, I saw these, we had these Seamus bags. Like, I've got to get you guys one. And he said, I thought it'd be really cool if you guys just played a few matches with it as well. Like, keep it alternating. I was like, yeah, that's a great shout, actually. So we agreed that amongst the jar, and sadly Harold is not an official member of the jar, so he's unable to win
even
the
though
bag.
he would have taken
Let's
the
talk
biscuit.
about Harry. This is a jar-related conversation, and we said, "Oh, look, the winner of the jar, the winner of today, in terms of just a separate Stableford thing we're playing, gets the bag, and then every time we play as a 3, we play for the stealth bag, which I thought was pretty sweet. So that's like a little add-on to it, anyway.
So yeah, there was a little micro game taken on. So we decided that on the first tee, and heavens opened. I'd say just a little bit, just for 10 minutes, just on the first tee. But
it was
then
gone before we got to the second shots, wasn't it? And that was literally
but then it was just turned into glorious sunshine, pretty much for the entirety of the afternoon. A good healthy wind across the links, but glorious sunshine, really. And I think it's a shock to the system when you get to the first green, Elie, and you're looking at we had a front pin. We all pretty much had downhill putts. When you've got basically no idea on how to stop the ball anywhere near,
Greens
the
are just
greens were
unbelievable.
Absolutely glass.
But the land's sublime, isn't it? Like, back to the original point. They've played golf here, from the 1500s, 1600s. This is, it's kind of in the same fold of Old Course, North Berwick, in terms of the provenance of the land itself that you're playing on. It's just pure golfing terrain.
And it's a strange one, isn't it? Because obviously North Berwick being East Lothian, they're in different parts of Scotland.
Well,
but
they're only
overlooking.
They're quite close together,
Yeah,
aren't
but
they?
you're overlooking North Berwick
yeah.
from Elie. You can see Bass Rock. It's you're looking straight across at North Berwick, pretty much from the second. So the second is that sort of elevated par 4. It's probably drivable for you big boys. But you get up to the top and you get this reveal as you get onto that second green, where you get the whole town, you get the crashing waves, and then you can see Bass Rock, North Berwick, and all that stuff, and and all that area is just absolutely blessed with the links turf.
I should just interject there. You mentioned reveals, and I think today, Harry, it's fair to say it was a bit of a baptism of fire for you, wasn't it, in terms of golf course architecture, lexicon. Just penny for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think we need to be careful. We're not jumping too far ahead. But the reveals at Elie are something to behold. I think
was this a term that you were familiar with?
The transitions as well is something that I'm sure Sam will come on to, and only sort of surpassed by the number of quality half par holes on offer.
He's a quick learner.
It was an education today, and no, it was an absolute delight. I think for me what came across. What was most impressive is I think the first time I played it was August time, and we had a cracking day. It was beautiful weather, and the wind was up. I think is the Elie terminology. When the wind's up at Elie, there's nowhere better. But the condition of the course today is March. It's been tricky. We had a downpour yesterday, and you just would not have been able to tell that the turf was perfect and it was rolling firm and fast. So.
Harry, so pop quiz. You've been around JAR members for the last 24 hours, and Sam's got a habit of making shit up. So let's imagine that people don't know what those terms are. Explain to me, one, what's a reveal?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure I actually fully understand. What I would take the reveal to be is where you approach something that is potentially partially blind. And for instance, the second hole at Elie, you're playing up towards a raised green that hides a lot behind it. And I think the reveal that a lot of people would say is the expanse behind the green, and the scenery that you have behind it, as Tom mentioned, Bass Rock. And this is an exam style answer where I'm really trying to waffle along to just pick up as many marks as I can here. But that was my understanding. Transitions, I think
Sam, have we got correct answers? Does he get marked on this?
Yeah, I'll give him that. It's good.
Good.
He's got a good grasp on this stuff.
Okay, transition. What's a transition?
Again, I couldn't really get too excited by this one, but I think it mostly refers to finishing one hole and starting the next, which, the routing of a course is extremely important. I think that's what Elie does so well in the main. But I think the transitions that Sam was waxing lyrical by the third hole, I did need to remind him, Sam, I don't think we've had enough of these transitions to really be sure that they are, quote, the best he has ever seen. Is that a fair comment?
That's a perfect segue actually, because sort of those of our most attentive listeners will know that we always like to have a bit of competition when we're on tour amongst the JAR. There's always a fair bit of jousting and competitive play. And, if anyone was labouring the assumption that having not played golf for a few months together as a full compliment, we might just sort of, enjoy the moment and keep it relaxed and chilled and we just embracing one another's company and enjoying good conversation, you'd be sorely mistaken there, because in keeping with tradition, Sam was absolutely just dialed in from the get-go,
he wouldn't speak to anyone.
After a couple of putts went awry on the first few holes, his sort of pace of play picked up by about a good sort of factor of maybe, I don't know, 20-25% or so, and he was sort of really frog marching, wasn't he?
By the
so it's
third hole,
good that nothing's changed on that front.
No, by the fourth hole.
I just couldn't.
The tee box of the fourth hole.
Just didn't. Yeah.
You
okay.
can just interrupt me if you want.
I'll have more rebuttal in a minute.
The tee box of the fourth hole. We all hit our tee shots, and you just went. But the tee box of the fourth hole.
Lads, we're not going to get round here at all.
The tee box of the fourth hole was marked
with
by an
exact words.
incident where we almost had the equivalent of what would be a streaker. So we had someone come up and came over to me with his arm extended, shook my hand and said, "Jimmy." I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you, Jimmy." He said, "No, you're Jimmy." "I'm Jimmy?" "No, Tom. Great to meet you, Tom." Okay. Then he shook everybody's hand. And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm really glad to meet you because I only met Kevin and then I only met George." I said, "I'm really sorry. I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You're Jimmy." I said, "No, I'm Tom."
You guys had thought somebody had got wind, like almost like a tiger practice round at the Open. Someone had caught wind that the Cookie Jar Boys were 3 holes into an exhibition match.
We're getting free
marched
caddying
down
offer.
to the 4th and started to build. I think the scenes of Cypress Point with Venturi and Ward were sort of starting to spring to mind. That this guy had come out to watch us and he was like, "Oh no, it's the group behind, isn't it?" I was like,
Yeah, he just wanted the group behind. But at this point, me and Harry are kind of in stitches that were like, what's gone on? And we're just sort of trying to point this guy in the right direction. And Sam's halfway down the fairway, just marching away, going, "We're never going to make this, boys."
So I think no. In absolute fairness, Bruce is a heinously slow golfer at times, with a mix of aim, point, express, and alignments on golf ball. Yeah, alignment. Exactly. It's like aim point full version. And
It's just absolutely slander.
And I was acutely aware we had a 2-ball behind us. And jokes aside, we've obviously talked on this podcast before about East Lothian, 20 miles or 10 miles, whatever, across the estuary, and these guys like to play quick. It's a Saturday afternoon. There's rugby on. They probably want to get round. And I was acutely aware of that. And these, back to the point of, great golf clubs are welcoming places. Bad golf clubs don't make you feel welcome. Elie could not have made you feel more welcome. And these guys who were a 2-ball, we weren't slow. We were playing quite quick golf.
Yeah, we got around in just over 3, weren't we?
They clearly made a conscious effort to actually not apply any pressure to us, because they would have definitely caught us up, and we let them through, I think, eventually on about the 13th or 14th, I want to say. But the fact that they just clearly made no effort to put any pressure up behind us, I was just like, that was just a really nice touch of them.
We had to go. We were just, because I think I wanted to ping the drone about a bit, and I was like, we had to go out of our way to try and get these guys to come through. It was like, guys, do you want to come through?
Yeah.
But it was quite quiet in general, wasn't it? I think the course, plenty of space. It wasn't sort of overly packed, and everyone was just, everyone who did see out there was so welcoming and friendly, and just all enjoying a really nice, like sort of Saturday afternoon in March in the sun on a fantastic golf course.
But back to the original point, I was really excited about seeing Elie. I kind of thought it was going to be a good day. I don't think anything prepared me for quite how good I thought the course was. We threw some stuff around on the course, talking about it. For me, it's I said it's my number 2 and 5. I put that out there straight away. I'd say it's probably one of the best courses we played on tour. I was genuinely in awe of some of the holes. The fact that just at a macro level, that course is 2 par 3s and 16 par 4s, and at no point are you aware that you're just playing par 4 after par 4. Like, you're just never aware of it. And I think to have a course where it feels like that, and it's maybe back to your point, Harry, of when the wind's up at Elie, it's good because the routing is really varied in terms of the directions you're playing against. Jokes aside, there's a lot of half par holes.
I was going to say there's not 16 par 4s, because there was about 8 par 3.5s. There were about 8 par 4.5s.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but they are genuine half pars. The back 9. I think I made like 1 par on the back 9. Because there's loads of really scoreable, like semi-reachable or scoreable 4s.
Not on the back 9. Oh, no, I'm not sure I'd agree.
And there's loads of really tough ones as well, though.
I think I'd probably flip that around and say, okay, it's slightly dependent on wind, but I think by and large, the front 9 seems more scoreable. In terms of the selection of par 4s that you have there. Like 1, okay, it's a slightly blind tee shot, but, you get a good tee shot away on 2. It's fairly short. You can get up and down, make your birdie there. 3 is a long and a tough par 3 there. But then as you start going through sort of 4, 5, 6, 7, there's some chances. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the point you're making, which is that the variety of holes.
That stretch around the turn is just sublime, isn't it? You know, that where you
9,
get that really good reveal.
10,
what hole was
yeah.
that? That
10's
one?
brilliant reveal.
10.
10's
the best
10.
reveal in golf.
Back to Eclectic 18, and there's an immediate revision on my Eclectic 18. That just goes straight in.
10.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the most passionate and
No, but I'd have to have a hole from Elie now on my Eclectic 18. I couldn't sleep at night.
What was on your Eclectic 18?
Valda's 10. Valda's 10 was on mine. But
I think that's an easy revision.
yeah, it was a simple decision to make. It doesn't need a lot of reworking. I could probably go back to the drawing board, do a more complicated way. But there are holes at Elie that I would like. No, but there are genuinely really good contenders. I thought there are some really, really, really good golf holes. 13 at Elie is an outstanding golf hole. Like really good. Like I know there's no shortage of hyperbole from me on this
13
one.
was a belter, wasn't it?
But it's genuinely like crazy good golf, Elie. Like crazy good.
And I think, but it's interesting because I think as you say, like, I don't know, it's maybe not a fair comparison, but somewhere like a North Berwick where maybe, forgive me if this is totally wide of the mark as a sort of amateur psychoanalysis exercise, but North Berwick was somewhere that you'd seen obviously quite a lot on social media and various other channels where you kind of looking at a lot of the holes there in detail, and you got a fair preview of that before you went and played it. I wonder whether with Elie, maybe not having seen quite as much coverage there, it's just, as you say, it kind of knocks you for 6 really when you go there, because you're like, wow, I just didn't really know what to expect, and this is just incredible, like the mixture of sort of strategic, varied golf with stunning vistas, brilliant backdrops, half bar holes, reveals, and actually on the point about transitions, it never actually feels like much of a slog. Like, it's fair to say it's not a championship course, but that is just a totally positive attribute, I think, in this instance, because it just feels like the easiest walk going. You can just skip round there. You could cut out holes, play different loops if you wanted. It's just really, really fun to go and play.
Yeah, it was good, and of course we were playing 2 different forms of matches across this wonderful links, and Harold and I battled well for 10 or 11 holes, and then kind of got the screw turned on us a little bit, didn't we, Harold? And they kind of got a couple up.
Well, yeah, Sam just started burying putts, really. I think, we felt like we played the better golf on the day, but then suddenly...
Weirdly, his mood improved around that time as well.
These putts are dropping from all over the shop, and testament to Elie's greens. When I think I can't remember which hole was it where 2 consecutive sort of 25 footers were canned. 14, I think.
And then I
you left one in the jaws.
Mine in the jaws.
Yeah, which testament to the quality of the surfaces. Really, when you get Sam Williams on a pure surface, there's just no hiding from him.
This 14 was the hole we let the 2 ball through, and we'd all hit sort of decent drives down there. And then the etiquette was sublime, because they got to the green, they very sharply moved off because we let them through, and they played 15, and we all put our approaches on the green to puttable distances, and Sam's walking all the way up the fairway going, do you think they think we're ball strikers? Do you think they must look at us and think ball strikers all the way?
In fairness, no, Harry started this chat because he was going, standards, boys. I mean, this is just standards of play. It's just this is sublime. Like, cookie jar stock's rising in five again now, after Tom's remarked that he can see out of a periscope. All of a sudden stock was rising once again. But it was a good match, though. To be fair, it was a really good
16
match.
And Harold stood on 16, and he turned to me as partner, and we were 2 down with 3 to play. He said, come on now, let's bury them. Which I thought was an ambitious statement, but we won 16.
Nice little birdie there,
birdie from Harold. This is going to be a lot about Harry, and then clutch par save on 17.
I felt that was a bit of robbery there, actually.
It needed all of the right lip to help that one into the hole, to be fair.
Absolute. But then, what did you think it was? Sort of 20 foot
Nah, I stay 12 feet or so.
25, 30 foot easy.
Yeah.
Par save.
Yeah. 4
It's on-
feet of
it's on the
break
gram,
and,
check it out.
downhill.
Par save to take it to Dormy, and then I managed to close out on 18, win 18 for half the
An extremely
pairs
clutch
match.
lag putt, probably 50 footer.
Very nice.
liked it. It was probably
4 net 3.
Yeah, 4 net 3 got it done. Stroke 8. But
Stepped up when he needed to.
But what was
delivered.
good about 18 is 18's a drivable par 4. It's 360, and it was a mad downwind. And on the tee box, all these three boys are giving it. Do you know, I think driver's going to be too much.
He had
I'm not
5
sure.
iron
I
out
don't
for
know.
the green at one point.
They've all hit pretty good shots down there, and we all had miles left in. I don't know whether the temperature just dropped, but
I think the ball
took a bit off
striking was
it.
all pretty solid, to be fair,
Yeah,
all the
it
way
was
around.
good.
It was a good match where there was no, because I remember you saying on, I think the 4th or 5th hole, you said, any time you make 2 birdies on one in a group, make 2 birdies on one hole, it all
It's
of a sudden
officially a
becomes
birdie
a
fest.
birdie fest.
it's officially.
And you
a
said
birdie
that,
fest.
and once you said that, it was like the floodgates had opened to birdies, because I think the next time we looked at it, we'd had something like 8 or 9 birdies in the space of about 4 holes or something.
Yeah.
Like it had gone wild. So it was a really good match and it was good standard. But yeah, I want to come back actually a little bit to our standard golf, but I want to just linger a little bit more on the course, if you'll indulge me.
I'd much rather indulge you on your, hyperbole and just lauding praise on the course than lauding praise on your own golf. So absolutely,
You'll encourage that when you praise.
I encourage the former.
Okay, so I'm curious to know your favourite couple of holes or so at Elie, and just talk about some of the highlights of the actual course itself, because I think otherwise we're in danger of skipping past it with some banter about the match and stuff. And I do, whilst we've got the opportunity, I do want to just talk about some of the favourite holes, because I suspect they might all be different. I suspect there'll be ones I birdied for me. I just think that's naturally the type of character I am. But yeah, Mills, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. I think we need to ban any of us picking 10, because 10 is just amazing. So I think it's too easy to say 10. And I'm going to go with 6, which is a 300-yard par 4, plays downhill. You only you can see about 200 yards of it, do you reckon? And then it kind of goes over a crest, and you lose the last 100 yards from the tee box. You can't see that. But in that last 100 yards, it is littered, absolutely littered with bunkers. So if you try and take something on, that goes beyond 200 yards, you are literally.
Well, as the person who'd played the course, a couple of times previously, and obviously was more than happy to give out some course management advice to you guys. I told you all that it was probably about a 4-iron, about a 200-yard shot or so, that you wanted to lay it up well short of the bunkers, and then proceeded to just totally ignore my own advice. Hit a really nice 2-iron, dead out the screws. The only one who hit a relatively straight tee shot off that hole, right up the lip of a bunker, and took 6, while you guys all just sort of, fanned it a little bit here and there, knocked it on the green, and made your birdies in your parts. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Tom. That is a very good strategic hole.
A really good
But
hole though, where you could hit anything of 8-iron up to driver in the bag off the tee, which we'll know from my previous rhetoric on this podcast has been a quality I think is particularly desirable in a golf hole.
Yeah, like the old course 12th or the 4th at St George's Hill. Like anything you can play, literally any club off, it's Wildy Hill. Harold?
Thing is, we've banned 10. I feel like we almost need to ban 13 as well.
Yeah, we do.
The problem is 13 is just absolutely my favourite. And I knew that going in. I remembered that hole from the last time I played it. It's probably 3 or 4 years ago now that I played the course. But it is difficult to ignore that corner that you play into. And that's why we let the chaps through. And we were more than happy to spend an extra few minutes in that part of the course, weren't we?
Yeah. 13's it's a brilliant shortish par 4, but the green is just.
I don't know if it's short actually.
Spicy. Is it not short?
Well, I think it's touching 400.
Decent length. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it'd play about 380. I'd say maybe 400.
Spicy
very
green.
very
though.
generous width of the fairway. But you play almost through a little channel of where the sort of sandbank off the shore is up on the left, and the profile of the ground raises up on the right as well. So you almost got this little sort of half pipe you play through. But then it's the approach to the green where you've got this massive elevation change, I think, and the green runs front right to back left, and anything that is, anything like short of the angle you're coming in on will find you. What were you were there, Tom? Were you like? I'd say 10 feet below. You couldn't see the bottom of the flagstick, could you? With you,
I
where
think
you were?
I pitched about 8 yards away from the pin, and it just got spat out and rejected because I've pitched straight into the upslope of that big elevation, just kicked it left into a little bowl, and I finish about, I don't know, 10, 12 yards from the pin, and I can't see it basically.
And the backdrop, you've got those huge sort of cliffs as well, that massive dramatic cliff face that you see throughout most of the course.
You're right on that east nook there, aren't you?
It's just a...
Yeah, well...
It's an outstanding golf hole.
What was yours, Sam?
I haven't really thought about...
Great, that was your idea.
No.
I'll jump in. I think the reveal off the second green is just incredible. Like, I think that is where you really, for me, it feels like you just like, wow, this is such a spectacular place. As you kind of walk up onto the second green, third tee as well. That's just a fantastic, high point of the course where you're looking out. You can see the town below. The 19th hole, actually, not that far away, where we popped in for a drink after the round and a bite to eat. Really, really cool.
It's a good
vibe.
shout. I'd actually say 19th really nice hole is also probably one of my favourite holes at Elie. That's one hell of a booze of that.
Yeah. I think that for me would probably be.
It's a good hole.
Coming back to it, I think we've taken a few out of play for me, which makes the exercise not trickier because there's a lot. I'm gonna say. Actually, I think 3 is an incredibly good par 3 hole. There's only 2 par 3s at Elie, but I thought 3 was really good. Downhill.
Pretty stern test.
Mental, like, run into the green on that front right.
And it's a
huge bank
green
up to the right. And I was in the bunker on the left. I did a horrible shot, really, to be honest. But I was in the bunker, and I didn't hit a particularly good bunker shot either. But I was consciously trying to play the bunker shot way past the flag to almost, because you could see it would just pitch and roll back. And yeah, that's just a really fun. You got the wall behind and everything, and
just remind me, the third is the one just before you marched off down the fourth fairway and wouldn't speak to anyone.
He was already marching down 3, actually. The concerns around pace of play and just full disclosure here, we finished with about an hour of daylight to spare here, so these concerns were totally unfounded.
Someone's got to keep you moving around a golf course, Bruce, and I know one day these comments will stick about pace of play, And I just want to maybe just talk a little bit about our own game and stuff, because it's almost at that point in the season now where it's starting to feel like we're closer to the golfing season. Which, if I'm honest, I think we've all hit the ball pretty good today. Probably best I've seen you hit it off the tee, Tom, for a kickoff.
I think you two actually are fully accept you guys are driving it both a lot better, and I know that might sound like awesome marketing guff or whatever. No, I genuinely think that both of you guys are driving it significantly better. I think, Sam, you're the driver setup that you've got at the moment, as much as you love the sort of aesthetic visual flex of having a bright orange Tour AD shaft in your driver, which is fantastic, I agree.
He's going to tell you
genuinely works for you very well.
He's going to take his extra stiff in a minute.
And you're taking, taking some spin off it. Yeah.
Tour stiff.
I think it look good. And Tom, again, same thing, the launch you're getting on it is just a lot better.
Just very quickly on this though, because I think one thing it would be fair to say on this podcast, and keep me honest on this, Bruce, but I think we are very mindful that there is no shortage of marketing, advertising, stuff that happens through golf stuff, guns for hire, and we've always been very conscious about any partnerships and stuff, and really kind of doing any of that stuff, because it feels inauthentic at times.
Yeah, it's not.
And we're very lucky to have a very good relationship with the guys at TaylorMade who support us, like what we do. We like clubs and stuff and provide it, but it's also not on the basis that we have to ram it down your throats every 15 minutes. What I will say is going and spending a couple of hours down with Danny or Mickey, getting fit for clubs a few weeks ago, and really dialing in on the woods and the long irons, so like 2 irons and the fairway woods and the driver. That's had a massive benefit for me. maybe got fitted for the Sim 2 a little hastily because we did the full bag, but
Yeah.
you know, and I hit it a lot better when I went down and had that second run at the fitting. And I feel like subsequently I've now got a really good setup in the driver where, yeah, it's just not spinning as much. I used to feel like I'd hit the ball really good, but I just hit the high right spinner, and that's gone now. Like it's really good. Like the kit's solid. Like I mean, I'm on that Stealth Plus, which is the low spinning head,
That's
and
slightly low
weirdly
spin
you've
head,
got the stock one, which is slightly higher spin. I don't feel like it's hard to control that Stealth Plus. I'm conscious that it's maybe a bit tougher to keep the face under control because there's not maybe as much forgiveness in the head.
Well, I don't know if that's. I think I totally echo your points there about how having a bit more time for us to spend on the woods and driver as opposed to trying to do the whole bag, absolutely really beneficial. Added to which, you know, the relationship we kind of have with Danny.
I think that's the most important thing.
And just, you know, him knowing our games a bit more. And I think it really just speaks to having a really great fitter who knows what they're talking about, and you've kind of got a sort of, and they've got an understanding of your game, and you have some sort of relationship with them and say, well, look, this is the typical miss on the course, and this is what I don't like about my current setup, and being able to, you know, have that conversation and come away with just like a brilliant setup that you know, suits your
I'm with you
characteristics.
100% on that. I mean, I've never carried a 3-wood, so I've put 3-wood in the bag. We got 5-wood as well, and 2-iron. But like, I don't know how much the tech is really that it's obviously really important, but the important part for me is I go and see someone who knows my game, and it's like, yeah, so we give you this last time, how's it working, how do you feel, what's the bad shots, what are you doing, you talk it through, and through the process of being through it twice with the same person, he's like, okay, well, we can tweak that, we can change this a little bit, let's make sure we get this, like, and it's just refinement, it's just getting that for you, and that whole process. I haven't hit my woods as well as I hit these.
And we've had there's been other people in the golf industry that, you know, very, you know, the one thing you quickly realise doing stuff, and maybe it's going off on a slight tangent, but, you know, people are very willing to give product and service to you, but there's always an expectation back. And I think, you know, we are lucky there with the guys at TaylorMade, because what they do is it's just like, it's absolutely fine. And more than anything, it's just a curiosity of like, how you find it? Do you rate the product? I think it's quite good, this driver. You know, really happy with that. You know, he's really excited about the new mill grind 3 wedges. You've got the new MG3s in. We haven't got ours yet. But you're like, yeah, these are a step forward. These are really sort of like, you know, dare I say, a bit more sort of Vokey-esque or whatever. You know, these are really good wedges.
Prefer the shape a bit more, kind of suits your eye.
Loads of interaction with it. Like, I feel like it's got a much better interaction with the turf. I could just nip it off like that. I did a chip on, was it 14 or 15 today, which was on the tightest lie, and I was just like, yeah, I feel quite confident I could just pick this and just razz it in there a little bit.
And what a cool bunch of guys that to do that
birdie,
and never say to you like, yeah, and by the way, can you know, flood YouTube with some fitting films, or do this and do this and do this, and it's like, yeah, like a bunch of guys there that are just quite happy doing that. I think, yeah, and that's why we quite enjoy the relationship, and I think it's fair to use a few minutes there just to kind of talk about that. So
but it fits in as well, because, you know, it's like, I think you can all, we've all been there where we're trying to convince ourselves that we like a new bit of gear, and actually it's not the thing for us, or maybe it hasn't made that much of a difference to our game. But given that this is the first time we've played together as a 3 in quite a while, and certainly since the fitting, it's just good having, it's good having that validation from people who know your game and you've played with before, to say, oh no, actually, like you're hitting that thing really nicely, like that's great to see.
Those 2-iron UDIs are pretty healthy to add as well. Like, we've got up to a 15 club deal now, so I'm subbing the 5-wood.
Sam's going to go graphite shafts through the bag now. He's got a graphite shafted 2-iron. You know, it's the first time he's found the middle of the bag with an iron for months. You know, it's like he's going hazardous smoke through the bag.
But obviously, we were the original CJG boys were having our internal comp for the Seamus bag, and to my deepest regret, we are going to be playing the Jubilee tomorrow, and Sam Williams is going to be rocking a lovely little sort of 6-inch open pencil bag, and you did take the biscuits, 35 points Of course, you've
Went out
never
in a
played
police
before.
got actually, didn't he? He was just flying through the front line.
Yeah,
Had a few birdies there, which
For
is
of course,
good.
you've never played before. I think that's.
Potter went absolutely stone cold. To be fair, few cheap,
Yeah, that's
few cheap 3 putts was like, it was tough to see. But no, like, I thought ball striking was good today. It's great. It's just great fun when you have a little 2v2 heads up match, and it's it's clutch and it's tight, and birdies are winning holes. You're not getting anything for pars. But there's absolutely no getting away from the fact I thought that Elie was an absolute star of the show. Like that was
It was very good.
quick. How many half par holes? I think it would be right to just end on this. How many half par holes did you have it at?
18.
No, not 18 half par holes. I'm curious. Harry, what do you think? Is that just absolute nonsense rhetoric from me? This or?
No, I like the concept of half. I think there's definitely room for that. What I am surprised at, Sam, is that you've used the term par threes in this podcast probably on at least 3 occasions, and based on today's conversations, I thought that term was now illegal, and actually we just refer to them exclusively as short holes or one-shotters.
Okay.
But
I'm glad someone's keeping
I'm happy to keep learning, and maybe a bit of variety, and then make sure it's good.
Have you also noticed that when you're out in the course with Sam? And maybe you're on a short hole or a one-shotter, or you're all driven to the same spot, and he pulls out his rangefinder, and you can't be bothered. So you're like, Sam, what have you got over there? It's either one of two things. He just says either 70 when it's 170, or buck 70. But it can never be 170. He's like 70.
Yeah.
He's like, well. Okay,
That's what they call it on tour, don't they? It'd be like looking at it going, it was 70. I actually played with someone once. How far is it? I said like 65. Like 65 yards. And it's like pulling a wedge. I was like, no, it's 165.
But
65.
Sam only does.
I would say half par holes is something in the region of, I would say, north of 13, which. For me, that is the largest collection of half par holes I've ever seen in the wild. I don't know. What about you?
Shout out Half Par Kid.
Half par kid. Yeah, I mean who obviously did his eclectic 18 exclusively off half par holes, which I thought was remarkable. And we made him a scorecard of decimalised pars, which is amazing. Have you ever seen that many half pars?
I don't think it's double digits. I really don't think it's double digits.
No, but half pars can go up.
I'm
going to challenge you on this one. Explain yourself.
Well, okay. First things first, just to sort of so we can make sure we establish first principles here. Do you accept that there is such a thing as just a straightforward par 4 like that? That's actually how it plays. It's not 3.5.
I'd say the first at Elie is very much close to a regulation par 4.
Okay, so that's a regulation par 4.
Yeah,
we could say the second is a half
which
par
most
hole.
of us made 5 on, to be fair. So it's arguably more 4.5.
We could say the second is. We could say the second is a half par hole. I'll grant you that.
2's a 3.5. 3's a 3.5.
I'm not sure it is actually as a par 3.
3's a 3. It's a 200-yard par 3 with quite a severe front to back green. Winds in play. It feels like a 3.5. That.
Okay, well I'll give you that. So we're at 2 right now.
2.
The fourth is just a straightaway par 4. I think it's a drive and a short iron. I think with what we were hitting in today, you might have hit a wedge in, Harry, driving a full gap wedge, but a fairly full wedge.
Harry's absolutely launched one down 4. Harry's hitting a drive.
Hang on.
That not many people on the planet can hit.
Do you know what the easiest way to define this is? There needs to be. I think it's got to be a half par hole. It can come down. It can come down 0.5 if you have anything less than 65 into the green. I think that becomes a half par hole.
No, because it's just too and you can't judge that on the basis of just the wind that we've had today. So
yeah, exactly. The wind is a massive factor. As we've already said, when the wind is up, and that's what brings a lot of the variety as well as the difference in hole lengths.
So Tom, as the resident stato here, and someone who likes to try and keep us sort of statistically unbiased, if that is a fair
data
term.
guide our assumptions.
Yeah, you would say that it would be confirmation bias. It would be a small sample size if we were just going on the basis of what we had today.
I can't just sit here and listen to Sam just nauseatingly talk about us, but half par when there is no defined.
Right, okay. So I'm going to give 4 as a straightforward par 4. So right now we're 2 from 4.
Yeah.
But then there's
3.
no question. 5, 6.
No, 5
7,
we played up.
all-
5 we played off because we just we want the transition to be good.
Well, no, we minimised transition I shortened the walk.
So we played off a yellow too.
Played off a slightly front box. We
So
still
that's
short.
not fair.
That's like 50 yards in. Okay, I would say it's a half par. Maybe not.
Maybe.
6 and 7, I'd give you half par holes.
6, 7, 100% half par.
Yeah. 8's good solid par 4.
8's 320, 330.
Yeah, 8. I mean, you were chipping your shots in. Okay, I mean, I'll begrudgingly. I'll fall back and say it's maybe not half par. 9 is 100% half par.
In the wrong
Well, again, you
direction.
played it dead into the teeth, though.
Yeah, I know, but
It was still
either way,
450
it's
or whatever it was.
450. Like I drive a 2 iron at the absolute buzzer, and like
so technically, you made a birdie because you made a
yeah,
4.
I mean, and he made eagle to be
You made
fair.
half
I mean,
a birdie.
here we
And he
go.
made 1.5. What is
I
the
knew
difference?
there was some ulterior motive as to why we were going to talk about
I don't
the
know
hole.
what a 3 is on a 4.5 par.
I made the mistake of engaging Sam in conversation on the way up to that green, and another one sort of semi-hidden as you're walking up to it, and you can just tell he's not registering a single word that I'm saying. So he's too busy peeking over the crest to check how far his ball is from the pin.
Yeah.
And not a single word was landing there. And he was obviously very pleased when he sees it sort of 15 feet left of the pin, which he gave a very good run at the hole.
10, 100% half
Yeah.
par hole.
11.
11's 2.5. That's a half par.
11 is a 2.5.
Right, now I've
It was
checked
It's a
this.
130-yard hole.
So half par kid, who is, from what I gather, an authority on the subject of half par holes globally. I don't know if that's an official thing. I challenged him and said that is it possible to have a 2.5? And he said absolutely you can. I would say 11's a it's a picturesque, benign, very very short par.
Benign.
We hit
no.
50-degree wedges in.
It's not a 2.5.
Okay,
It's not a
I
2.5.
think it is. Then the next one is a long Cape hole, 440 plus. That's a half par
drive a
hole.
9-iron in there.
Yeah, you hit the ball a long way.
What do you hit?
We all know that.
Drive a 7-iron?
Drive 8 iron. And
So,
three,
okay.
three jabbed it from 5.
Okay.
So there you go.
So here we go.
13's not a half par. 14, I mean,
Not a
crikey,
half
we
par.
made it look like a half par, but it's not. I mean, we littered that thing with birdies. 15 back down. That's a shortish one again.
That was a tough hole though,
Yeah.
with the wind.
This is just absolutely So
Do you think this is...
Sam's had a good
so just to
day with the
clarify-
driver. His new tailor-made driver, which he's so happy to tell him about his Tour AD shaft, and suddenly every par 4 that he's hit driver on has become a half par.
yeah. So I think we've just
kernel of
established there.
truth there.
We've just established there that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, at the very least, are just regulation things.
Not
So
having half par holes. They are...
Well, look, I digress. We're going into the
I think
weeds
we're
here.
joking. So
We're
to be
getting into
fair,
the
if I was an
weeds
Elie
here.
member,
Yeah.
I'd probably be sitting there listening to this going, what are these guys saying? I think,
The takeaways is a lot of variety.
for a first-time
And-
listener
and
to
a huge
Cookie Jar,
amount, yeah.
this is just a bit of internal banter, and we'll obviously have a post-mortem after this podcast. But I think what I'm trying to drive at, to be fair, more than anything with this is back to the original point: 16 par 4s. This sounds like a bore fest, and I just couldn't believe the variety of the golf holes.
Yeah.
And I think we can unanimously agree on that. Like amazing variety.
I think for me, the biggest kind of thing for me is I was walking up 18 with you boys. It was one of those days. We've all had a lovely day. Sun was shining, and I turned to you and I was like, "This is, I think, one of my favorite days of golf I've ever had." And it's just, like you said, Bruce, it's not a championship course. It's not a Carnoustie or whatever. Like it's just not. But if you want like a fun day on a golf course, Elie just delivers in spades. It was just absolutely. I just had such a good day, even though I literally went off tour for like 3 holes in the middle and just snap hooked the life out of it.
There was a sad moment. I think Tom's found the only strip of deep rough on the course, consecutive holes, and sadly left me to it. I don't think I did. I don't. How did we feature on those 2? I think did we lose both of them? I think we did.
Yeah.
That's where the wheels started coming off.
And then
That's purely the rough manager. I mean, just a little segue there, because obviously we like to sort of pigeonhole some agronomy references where relevant. But yeah, that was the sort of main strip of thick rough at Elie. given that they're putting in quite a good sort of rough maintenance program, chopping it all back so that it's not too penal in the summertime.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit sad to see, wasn't it?
But it was quite funny because I have been hitting the new driver quite well, but I've been hitting the sort of like nice little sort of little baby draws, and I'd started the day with fades, which I wasn't liking. So I'm trying to work it back on the inside, and I start hitting the snap hooks, and I hit 2 snap hooks on the bounce of the driver, and I walked off after the second snap hook going, my swing's in a great place now.
Yeah.
I know it's in a great
I totally
place
agree
now.
with you. As my opposition that day, when you started pulling smother hooks into play, I was really on board with that.
But
It was much better than seeing those 5-yard fades peeling off the left edge of the fairway. The smother hook was it was much nicer to see.
But I did say to you, I was like, I know, I when I get that in that snappy, I know now I can just hold that face off and rip through it, and then after that, nothing but fairways.
Yeah,
I actually do kind of agree with that.
I
I'd rather see the
absolutely
ball go left.
100% disagree.
You'd rather the other way, wouldn't you?
Well, it's
But
like you talk about your driver fitting, and everyone's different, but I don't mind hitting a slightly spinny right driver, to be honest.
See,
I
I
think
don't
that's
like
far
that
more
at all.
I
playable.
find it very hard to walk that back. Whereas if I'm smother hooking it, I feel like I can actually remedy that.
Just get even more into out on it.
Yes, just really go.
Yeah, there's some good
just
logic
more,
there.
If I can just get more CF on this and just really, really drop the club head behind me.
Get even more trapped and underneath it, and I think that sounds like a very good remedy, Sam.
And on that note, is there anything more to add on our?
No, only an apology to any Elie member that's had to listen to this.
Well,
no, I hope the endorsement
We are going to do a
is-
blog post with
Absolutely.
maybe a glossary of half par holes, transitions, and reveals. Was that the stuff that you
I
jumped in
think
today,
we
Sam?
are saying, to be fair,
Sam's going
these
to do a
are
blog post on that
fairly,
anyway.
these are fairly sort of narcissistical golf architecture terms, but I think they apply. I think
Yeah, they do have an
the
analytical
routing
value.
of the golf
yeah.
course and falling off a green, to use Simon Holt's reference, and onto the next teeing ground is one of the greatest feelings in golf, and you do that in spades at Elie. And for a member that's listened to it, I think, crikey, this is a bit self-indulgent. They keep giggling at their own jokes. I genuinely thought some of the aspects to Elie as a golf course just absolutely floored me today.
Mm.
And I think as well the fact that we're here having this banter about the day that we've had, as Tom mentioned, it was an extremely enjoyable day on that course. We've all had an absolute whale of a time. From the moment we set foot at the club, we felt extremely welcome and felt very privileged to be out there on such a glorious afternoon, to be able to enjoy that links and only have positive exchanges with other people playing that course and who were also, by all accounts, having a lovely time out there. It was an all-time, it was an all-time afternoon, really, wasn't it?
Day for the ages.
Yeah, big thank you to Gavin and also Jamie at Elie for organising it and setting it up, making us feel so welcome. Great to be back out on tour with you fellas. Harry, good to have you on the pod, and all in all, just a brilliant day, and hopefully we can have another tour soon.
Adios.
And until next time.
Adios.
Watch this.